So we started a new series last week. If you missed it, you missed it. But we're actually in the process of uploading all of the videos and different things like that. So you won't miss it for too much longer. But we're going to be in Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 7. We're going to reread what we ended with last week. And then we're going to continue to just unpack some stuff in this book. This amazing, amazing book that is not awkward at all, ever, okay? It is. And tonight, we're starting into some of those things. So I need everybody to raise your right hand. I'm not going to do this every week, but this is only the second week, so I will do this for this week. I need everybody to raise your right hand. Say, I am a almost young adult. Unless I'm David Potts. And then I'm an old young adult. I am mature. I am kind. No, I'm joking. You don't have to say it. I am mature. I will get one chuckle when things get funny. And then after that, I'm going to be back to an almost young adult. All right. Amen. Great. That's awesome. Somebody's like, I am a young adult. It's awesome. So Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 7. Last week, what did we talk about? Starts with an A. Attraction. Yeah. We talked about attraction because most good relationships start with attraction. I would write a summary or a thesis statement that if your relationship has not started with some level of attraction, you should probably get out of said relationship, okay? It's probably not good to not be attracted to the person that you like. Anyway, we didn't talk about attraction in terms of like, oh, they're really good looking or, oh, they're hot. Oh, yeah, let's do this. No. We talked about attraction in terms of their character, in terms of who they are, both inside and out. We talked about how physical attraction is important, all right? Don't let people tell you that physical attraction isn't important. It definitely is. So guys, wear deodorant. Style your hair in some way. Use a comb. Okay, use a brush, take a shower, right? But I think so many times what we do is we actually look too much on the outside. We look too much on the exterior, and we actually will bypass wicked character, terrible on the inside, terrible hearts, terrible minds, terrible emotions. People are manipulative. We looked at how this Shulamite woman who became Solomon's wife, one of them, because he had multiple, okay? We're not going to go into that whole thing. You're like, polygamy is correct. No, it's not. Fight me and debate me later. But she said that his name was like purified oil, right? That it was clear, that it was transparent, that his character was amazing. He wasn't just glorifying God and whenever he felt like it. He wasn't just living right whenever he was in front of people. No, he had really good character. We talked about how the woman was working really hard. She was a hard, dedicated worker, but she was respectful over the authority that she had over her. See, the relationship began with this attraction that they were attracted to each other's character. They were attracted to what the person displayed, right? And so tonight, we're going to be talking about dating. Now, here's the interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing about dating. Dating actually used to not exist in Bible times. So you can't open up your scripture and see where Zebediah, married. Isn't it funny how, like, just as a side tangent, isn't it funny how men always have weird names in the Old Testament and they always marry like a Sarah or a Rachel or whatever? Like, why is that? Obadiah, Zechariah, Malachi dated Kate. And you're like, what? Makes no sense. But what we're going to do tonight is really look at relationship, dating, and what that looks like. And there's no scripture that you can turn to see where people dated because it just wasn't a practice. But what you can look at is you can look and see these concepts and see how you can apply it to what dating has become in our culture. You see, actually, we talked a little bit about this last week. Marriages were often arranged by parents. They were paid for with money or livestock or grain. Doesn't that make you feel nice that you could be bought and paid for by your parents? Just a little creepy to think about. So I want to go ahead and read what we read last week. It says, "Tell me, my love, where are you leading your flock today?" This is the woman speaking to the man. "Where will you rest your sheep at noon? For why should I wander like a prostitute among your friends and their flocks?" What she's basically telling him here is, hey, I'm not going to disrespect myself. I need to know where your heart is. I need to know where your commitment is. Because if it's with all these other ladies, I'm not about it. You see, the first thing that you need when you are going to approach dating in a healthy, mature, God-honoring way, the first thing that you need is the ingredient of time. Everybody say time. Say, I need time, and I got time. You see, this woman was basically wondering where Solomon shepherded his flocks. She wasn't going to be like somebody who was scandalous. Now, in verse 8, this is what is said. Sorry, I jumped ahead just a little bit. But this is how he responds to her. He says, "If you don't know, O most beautiful woman, follow the trail of my flock and graze your young goats by the shepherd's tents." How many people know that's like a really good pickup line? You can use it tomorrow. Come graze your flocks over near my tents. Yeah, I know. You're like, whoa, that's crazy. But I'm telling you, that's what Scripture says. That's what he's responding to. And yes, it's a playful kind of flirty thing that he's saying. He's saying, if you don't know where to find me, then you don't have to worry about it, because if you come near me, if you are in my proximity, what he's saying is, I want you around, okay? And he's using this playful kind of flirty language. I know it doesn't sound like that, but here we go. You see, the discourse between the man and the woman, the way they interact, is evidence that they not only have spent time together, but they desire to spend time together. If you are in a relationship or you ever approach a relationship and you're dating, you need time. You need time with each other. You need time to learn who that person is. You need time to spend with them so that you know if you even like spending time with them. It's extremely, extremely important. If you don't understand how important time can be, let me just tell you that when I was looking at Macy as somebody that I could potentially date, there was a plane ride that happened where we went to Fine Arts in Orlando. We were chaperoning some students together, and she sat next to me and was with me, and we spent time together on the plane. I asked her every question you could probably think about trying to get somebody, get to know somebody. We spent a ton of time. We actually, every night, we had an Airbnb, and so every night we had the students, they were really lame for some reason, and I'm not joking. They literally went to bed at 6:30 every night. No, that wasn't the year he was. This was even before that. This was when we were dating, and they went to bed at 7 o'clock. Well, I'm like, I'm not going to bed at 7 o'clock. She's like, I'm not going to bed at 7 o'clock. Now, when I tell you, like, we were out in the living room, so it wasn't anything weird, okay? But we were out in the living room, and we just sat and talked for hours. I mean, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, sitting on the couch, watching Bob Ross, okay? If you ever need some good background stuff, just turn on Bob Ross, man. It's awesome. It's the most calming, easy thing. You know what was crazy about it was as we were talking, he starts off with like some blank canvas, and like we would be talking, and we'd look over and we're like, how did he do that in 10 minutes? That's crazy. Anyway, I spent a ton of time to get to know Macy. to get to understand who she was. Even before we started dating, I was just spending time with her to see if that was even something that I wanted. Because how many people know that sometimes you can see somebody and be like, oh, I think that'll work. And then you spend time with them, and I'm talking dating, I'm talking friendships, I'm talking whatever, and you spend time with them and you're like, oh, this ain't gonna work. Get away from me immediately, right? Like, you spend time with people. But see, there's a lot of folks who feel like dating is something that you do only before marriage, and then you wonder why you're 10 years, 20 years, 25 years in your marriage, and you're wondering why the fire goes out of your marriage. I think I would argue that dating is just as important after marriage than it is before marriage. Granted, in marriage, you only date your spouse, okay? That's should go without saying, but it's 2026, so. You see, before marriage, dating is safe. It's a no strings attached. I think we've actually put too much emphasis on dating in the sense that we put way too much pressure on it way too quickly. Now, I'm not saying don't be intentional. I'm not saying be stupid and date somebody every night. Don't worry about whatever's happening. It's fine. Can we focus? We're all almost. I am an almost young adult. Okay? Do that whole thing. Can you focus even with lights going crazy? Did it just die? Oh, okay, cool. So, real quick, bring it back in. I think that before we date, we put too much pressure on it and we act like we're married. You're not in covenant with people that you date. But sometimes what we see as dating is we see it as like a permission slip to go out and be whatever we want to be. I'm going to date this person and this person and this person and this person. And that's not it either. There has to be a balance in that. But dating your spouse will make sure that you don't grow distant. It's a way to invest in the relationship that you have. Now, here's the interesting thing. You have to tailor your dating relationships to things that honor the Lord. Big red flag for me is when somebody's like, I'm going to go to the movies. Or better yet, we're gonna watch a movie at my house. Like, get out of here. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're looking for permission or you're looking for an excuse to do something like that you shouldn't be doing, to be honest. And I'm not saying every time is like that, but I'm saying you do that enough and you're eventually opening up a door that doesn't need to be open. Romans 13 says, make no provision for the flesh in regard to its lust. That means whatever is going to be an open door to temptation, shut it immediately. We have to be careful, especially now that there's all this online dating and there's all these things that you can join and be a part of. You have to make sure that you're careful with who you meet up with, when you meet up with them. If you're dating somebody that you met online, make sure it's in a public place. Don't be like, come to this address. Come alone, right? Like, don't do that. But he says he loves me, so no. You're going to be on a milk carton somewhere, and we're going to have to run a search party. I'm joking. But see, the thing that I'm saying here is that this couple is spending time together in the open air, out in public, and they enjoy one another's company. They've spent time and are spending time together, getting to know each other more and more and more and more. The second thing that I think you need to have in a dating relationship, the second thing that I think is important for you in a dating relationship to invest in is respect. Everybody say respect. Now say RSP, ECT. No. Now you know this is me. RESPECT. Right? No. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So here's the thing. The only way in a dating relationship that you will know if the person is going to respect you or not is to spend time. That's why time is important. But respect is just as important because respect and romance are very closely related. In a healthy relationship, you will not have respect and romance separate from each other. Healthy people who wants to be healthy spiritually, emotionally, physically, right? Healthy people don't want to be romantic with disrespectful spouses, disrespectful partners. Ladies, let me say something to you. The one thing that men have got to know is that they have to know that they're respected. But it works the same way the other way around. Guys, if a lady cannot feel respected and safe, then you can forget about having any kind of romance in your relationships. So let's go ahead and keep reading and find out how this couple spends time together and cultivates a friendship. Let's look at how they're spending time together. Let's look at how they're respecting one another. Solomon goes after her heart with a compliment in verse 9. Is everything good over there? We good? Okay. So check this out. This is what he says. Guys, if you have your Bibles, highlight this verse. Okay? It's a big, big pickup line for you, okay? Here you go. Verse 9. You, he says to her, are as exciting, my darling, as a mare among Pharaoh's stallions. Y'all, he called her a horse. Okay? He called her a horse. You are as a mare among Pharaoh's stallions. Like, ladies, how many people would be like, oh, man, he called me a mare? Wouldn't you feel immediately in love with a guy who calls you a horse? No. But see, here's the thing. Here's the really amazing thing. The beauty of this is actually lost in our modern understanding because we would hear that and see that compliment and read it and go, this is absolutely crazy. Hey, guys, I'm going to have to actually separate you guys. Could we do that real quick? Could one of you guys move? Because clearly this isn't working. Thank you. I'm so sorry, but it's just the way we got to do it. Can we focus in? Thank you. The beauty is lost in this because back in Solomon's day, this actually would have been a really amazing compliment. This would have been a really beautiful thing that he said. He's not saying that she looks like a horse. He's not saying that. But what he was saying is that, in this culture and in this context, these ancient Near East stallions were typically used to carry chariots. So sending a mare during the chariots was actually a really good strategy to get them distracted because basically it would make all the other horses look at that horse and go, I want that horse. And then they would run after it and do all this stuff, right? It would create chaos. So when he's saying that she's a mare among Pharaoh's stallions, he's saying that her beauty is actually set apart from all the other women around. It's like seeing your boo thing after camp. Okay? So Solomon is saying that she's captivating, that she's deserving of attention, that she's deserving of respect. Beyond monetary value, that's how he sees her. Not every man treats ladies with such kindness and dignity. Sometimes not even their spouses treat them at times like that. I heard of a story of a pastor. He was talking about a woman who came to this pastor and said that she was so tired of being treated poorly by her husband that she said to him, I would rather you treat me as kindly as you treat the waitresses at the restaurants that we go to. This woman came to this pastor and in confidence said that she has told her husband, I've looked at the way that you treat random strangers, and I would rather be treated like that than how you treat me. How is it that you could treat anybody that you don't know better than the person that you're married to? It's not how you cultivate respect in the relationship. As a matter of fact, that's how you kill a relationship. Solomon says of this woman, "You are the most wondrous, wonderful thing that I've seen." We're going to skip down to verse 12, and we're going to read 12 and 13. This is how she responds. "The king is lying on his couch, enchanted by the fragrance of my perfume. My lover is like a sachet of myrrh lying between my breasts." I'm very proud of you guys. That was the first one, and you guys did really good. I'm very proud. Give yourself a pat on the back. You see, here's what she's saying here. Here's what she's saying. She's saying perfume, this perfume, the reason why they would keep it close to their chest is not because they're trying to be promiscuous and trying to do anything. No, it's because that's where value was. Because it would be very difficult for somebody to rip that off of your neck or anything like that. And so that's why she's saying what she's saying. She's not trying to be sexual or anything like that. But she's saying, what I have is very important to me. She wore something very precious to her, something that was very expensive. And she says, "I'm eating at the table with my beloved, and my perfume gives off this fragrance." She's saying her beloved is as valuable to her as this pouch of myrrh. Her man is as beloved and as precious to her, is very close. You see how this couple, again, when you can read through some of the weird language, because none of this makes sense in a 2026 context. But when you read through the language and you actually see what they're saying, you see how important it actually is. He's saying, "You're a mare. You stand out among every other person." And she's saying that you're my myrrh. You're this expensive, precious thing that I value. There's a healthy respect for one another. Do you see how that is working out in that way? Now, I want to go to verse 15. We're going to have to speed through a little bit of this. She says, in verse 15, the man actually says this: "How beautiful you are, my darling. How beautiful. Your eyes are like doves." He's recognizing peace and beauty in her. In verse 16 and 17, this is how she responds: "You are so handsome, my love, pleasing beyond words. The soft grass is our bed, fragrant cedar branches are the beams of our house, and pleasant-smelling firs are the rafters." You're like, that makes no sense to me. What she's saying is, you're pleasant. You're my best friend. Let me just tell you something. If the person you're dating, if the person that you are with, your significant other, if they're not your best friend, something is wrong. Because if they're not your friend first and foremost, then you will never want them to be your spouse later. You see, it all starts with this respect that they have for each other. She is saying, when I am with you, I feel like a millionaire. I feel amazing. He is nice. He is tactful. He is respectful in such a way that she feels like a queen. I believe all women should feel this way. I believe that's what you should be looking for. Guys, I believe that you shouldn't be with some ogre who is disrespectful and doesn't want to be around you and doesn't respect you the way that you deserve. But notice something. Notice something, guys. Where my fellas at? Where my handsome young men, right? Eligible bachelors, right? Notice this. Notice we just finished chapter 1. Congratulations, you made it. And notice that in an entire chapter, this man hasn't even laid a hand on her yet. She feels this way, and he hasn't even kissed her. And she says, I feel like a queen. Guys, I feel like so many of us are romantic out of competition. We're romantic out of competition because it's natural in guys to want to compete for girls. Attention. We want to be able to be like, yeah, I got, like, I did that. Like, yep. Not physically, you weirdos. I saw a couple of you guys do that. You know what I mean? But like, man, that's my girl. You know, I feel like we just put a competition on it. It's nothing more, winning a girl's heart is nothing more than winning a race or winning a game or winning some sort of thing. And I feel like men, young men especially, you feel like it's something to display and something to be like, yeah, look at what I accomplished. It's so whack. Because this guy, for an entire chapter, hasn't even laid a finger on his wife. He's pursuing her with love and understanding and respect and compassion and dignity and all of these amazing things. So guys, if I could give you 3 things real quick of a way to respect and love your future spouse, the girls that you might date. If you want to date well, weigh your words. Okay, make sure that your words are measured. Apologize quickly. Because guys, we can be a little crazy sometimes. And here's the key one. Never, ever win an argument. Never win an argument. Listen, even when I think I won, I end up losing later, okay? I am 0 for 1,000 in my relationship, and that has kept my relationship together. I'm just saying. But let's go ahead and go to chapter 2 real quick. We're not going to go through the entire chapter, but chapter 2, verse 1. She says, I am the spring crocus blooming on the Sharon plain, the lily of the valley. So the woman is speaking here, and she is saying that roses and lilies don't grow in clusters. She's saying, I feel like I'm a single. I'm an individual. I'm separate from everything else. I think what's so amazing about it is over the course of this chapter, as they're talking about things together, she started, remember one of the first things she said was, don't look at me, I'm scarred, I'm bruised, I'm sunburnt, all of these things, don't look at me, I'm hideous. And now she is saying, I feel like I am beautiful. Because of the affirmation of her spouse, because of the affirmation of this man. Because this guy has treated her so well. Guys, do you understand that you have the ability to tear down and build up your spouse? Women, you do as well. But guys, we're supposed to lead the homes. We're supposed to be the leaders in this thing. And so you have the power and the authority in the way that God has ordained marriages and relationships. You have the power to do that. And so see how powerful it is when you can actually build up your spouse. Verse 2, he responds back to her, and he says, you're like a lily among thistles, is my darling among other young women. So he's saying, hey, you're not even just like a really nice flower and a clump of other flowers. He's saying, nah, everybody else is thistles compared to you. Everybody else can get lost. Everybody else, like I have just my focus on one single woman here. Guys, if you want the love and respect of a woman, then you have to treat her like a singular queen. Singular. That was my daughter. Yeah. That was amazing timing, Zadie. Love it.
Good job, Zadie.
You see, every other man does not want, she's understanding that not every man can do what mine can do. Not everybody talks to me the way that you talk to me. I think the most important thing that you could do is build your spouse up. Guys, to build your spouse up to such a way that you become unthreatened and unbothered by anybody else. To where somebody could come up and call your wife beautiful? And you go, yeah, I tell her every day. She knows that, all right? Yeah. Now lay off, right? No, but the way that somebody could come and compliment my wife and I wouldn't feel threatened by that. Now, if he compliments a little too much, he's going to catch these hands. A couple years ago, my wife was working at an event, and she was like talking about some stuff, and there was like a community event. She works for CPC. She's doing her thing and all this stuff. And I guess there was like a local police department thing that was also there. And there was some dude who was like coming over to my wife's table like a lot. Macy was like, yeah, I thought that was really weird. But like, it's like, okay. She was like, I didn't think anything of it until the last, like right before we were about to tear down. He was like, I really like your eyes. And she was like, okay. My husband thinks so too. And she showed him the ring. And she came home and told me that later. And I was like, I want his badge number. I want his department. I want his type of shoes. Like, But I'm saying I'm really actually not worried about those kind of other compliments because my wife hears that. He's providing for her. He's protecting her. In verse 4, this is the woman talking again. She says this, he escorts me to the banquet hall. It's obvious how much he loves me. Strengthen me with raisin cakes. Refresh me with apples, for I am weak in love. You see, they're not outside anymore, but they're still in a public place. So basically, if you can look at it, we've gone from frolicking in the gardens to now we're at the Red Lobster, okay? But she's saying, man, I feel not ruled over by, I don't feel ruled over by authority and power and all this stuff, but I feel ruled over by love. I'm compelled by the love. So guys, here's what you have to know about this, okay? Be gentlemen. Open doors. Pull out chairs. Don't walk in front of your significant other and be like, come on, let's go. Like, don't do that. Walk with her. Remember, treat her like a singular queen, right? That's how we do this thing. Because when you have kids, when you eventually have children, if you're not prioritizing your relationship, eventually your kids become the priority. Let me just tell you, if Zadie ever pops off to my wife, exactly. Because again, you place the importance on your relationship. I'll never forget the time that I was probably 16 or 17. I was way too old to be smarting off at my mom. And I went off on my mom. I did. And I got probably this close to her face, screaming at her. She just sat there. Do you know why she just sat there? Because my dad got up. And he shoved me out of the way, and he was like, now he hit me with this. It was the first time it ever happened. You know that Pokemon meme from Pikachu where he's got his mouth open? Like, that was me. Because it wasn't my mom at that moment. It wasn't my mom. It was, you talk to my wife like that, I'm going to have a problem. And I was like, well, that's mom. What do you do? What do you mean your wife? Not realizing the disrespect that I had caused he went into a protective mode as a husband. So you have to make sure that you are protective and you do things the right way. You prioritize things in the right way. Now in verse 5, strengthen me with raisin cakes, refresh me with apples, all these things. You see, she's basically now in a spot where she really wants this man. Like, for real. And this is passionate. Did you guys know that you actually couldn't read Song of Solomon until you were a certain age in the Jewish background? Like, these kinds of verses, raising cakes and apples and all this stuff, it's why. Because this is actually a super passionate verse. She's saying, I really want this man. She says in verse 6, his left arm is under my head, his right arm embraces me. They were not allowed to read this. Jewish boys were not allowed to read this until they got older because this was considered intense. This woman desires this man passionately. But again, notice that it's not by doing anything physically. It's by the way that he treats her, by the way that he compliments her. Now, here's the important thing in verse 7, and this is the last verse we're going to end with tonight. Somebody said, phew, thank God. Verse 7. Guys, you need to highlight this verse because this is how you should lead your relationship. Promise me, O woman of Jerusalem, by the gazelles and wild deer, again, language that goes right over our head. But this one is what I really want you to get the point of. Do not awaken love until the time is right. The last thing that you need in dating relationships, you need time, you need respect, but this is the last thing, you need restraint in your dating relationships. You need restraint. One of the things that you won't hear often, especially from pastors, is that this woman's feelings about her man are natural. God created it to be that way. Okay? But what this man does as he leads this relationship is he's the one putting the brakes. Guys, why have we let women pump brakes on our physical relationships more than we are? I mean, I know why, right? But like it is an important verse for us as men to realize that it really falls with us. We're the ones who should be putting the parameters on the relationships, on the physical boundaries of our relationship. He says, this feeling that you have is good, but it needs to not be awakened until a later date. Not yet. This guy is the one who takes the initiative in purity. This man is the one who does that. When you spend time regarding and respecting a person, the natural thing is to desire that person. But how many people have fireplaces in your homes? Who's got a fireplace? Who likes their fireplace? And I'm not talking about fake ones, I'm talking about real ones, right? You got a real, actual fireplace. Think about the concept of what a fireplace is. You start a fire in your living room. Imagine going back in time and telling somebody, yeah, we have fires in our homes all the time. And people are like, what? That's crazy. Get something checked. Call the fire department. What are you doing, right? Like, we have these like controlled things and it's fine. But why are fireplaces so nice? Because they're controlled. They have a brick. There's a chimney. You have all these accessories, these fire pokers to make sure that you take care of your fire. You can keep it in check. You make sure that the fire never gets out of control, right?